In the golden age of American muscle, General Motors dropped a bomb in the automotive industry. They unleashed an engine so powerful it held the potential to end the horsepower wars in a single stroke, the legendary 454 LS6. This machine wasn't just fast, it was historically significant, holding a title that remains unbroken to this day. This is the wild story of the most potent factory muscle car engine ever built, the one that burned so brightly it signaled the beginning of the end for an entire era. Let's dive in. In the year 1970, something truly crazy happened in the American auto industry. The muscle car wars were absolutely raging, and the general public, it seems, just couldn't get enough power. For years, General Motors had this self-imposed rule, a sort of a gentleman's agreement among divisions, that restricted the engine size in their mid-size cars to a maximum of 400 cubic inches. This meant the Chevelle, the GTO, the 442, they were all capped. But in a stunning turn of events, that rule vanished for the 1970 model year. The gloves, as they say, came off. Chevrolet's answer to this new freedom was immediate and frankly brutal. This wasn't just a slight bump in displacement, it was a declaration of war. The engine came in two flavors for the Chevelle SS. The tamer, some might say, LS5 at 360 horsepower, and then there was the monster, the RPO LS6. The LS6 was officially rated at an astonishing 450 horsepower and a pavement-shredding 500 pound-feet of torque. To put that into perspective, this made it the most powerful factory-rated production engine in the entire muscle car era, a title it holds to this day. But here's a little secret from the gearhead community. That 450 horsepower figure was very, very conservative. Chevrolet likely underrated the engine to keep insurance companies at bay, or maybe to sandbag the competition. Experts in dyno tests from that era and today suggest the real power output was closer to, if not exceeding. Imagine that, a factory car pushing that kind of power right off the showroom floor. This was raw, unfiltered American thunder, and it was a masterpiece of engineering for its time. Featuring a Holley 800 CFM 4-barrel carburetor, a high 11.25-to-1 compression ratio, and a stout forged steel crankshaft. The muscle car world had a new, undisputed king, and its reign was spectacular, if tragically short-lived. This was the moment of peak muscle, a true bang before the era faded away. So how, you ask, did Chevrolet squeeze so much power out of the 454 engine? It wasn't just about massive displacement. It was about a combination of high-performance components working in perfect, brutal harmony. Before we pop the hood on this incredible machine, if you're enjoying this deep dive into automotive history, do us a favor and press that like button and subscribe for more stories of forgotten automotive legends. Chevrolet engineers didn't cut corners on this one. They went all in, building a motor that was essentially a race engine disguised for the street. The key really lies in the LS6's internal components, which were incredibly robust. We're talking about a forged steel crankshaft, forged steel connecting rods, and forged aluminum pistons. These were heavy-duty parts designed to handle the immense pressures and high RPMs this beast was capable of. The engine also featured a stout 11.25-to-1 compression ratio, a figure you just don't see in modern pump-gas cars, which was possible due to the high-octane leaded fuel available at the time. Perhaps the most critical difference from other big blocks was the camshaft. The LS6 used a high-lift, solid-lifter camshaft, in contrast to the hydraulic lifters found in the slightly milder LS5. This aggressive cam timing allowed for much better airflow into and out of the engine's rectangular port cast-iron heads, especially at higher engine speeds, giving it that legendary top-end power. Perched on an aluminum intake manifold was a massive 800 CFM Holley 4-barrel carburetor, force-feeding the engine a potent mix of air and fuel. The optional but highly popular cowl induction hood was another brilliant piece of the puzzle. And this wasn't just for show. A vacuum-operated trapdoor at the base of the windshield would open under full throttle, ramming cold outside air directly into the air cleaner assembly. Cooler air is always denser, meaning more oxygen and, ultimately, more power. This was a true factory-engineered street and strip machine, capable of stock quarter-mile times in the low 13-second range, a feat that rivaled and often surpassed the Hemi-powered mopers of the day. The LS6 was, in every sense, a technical marvel of its time. delivering power in a way that felt raw, unfiltered, and utterly dominant. When the 1970 Chevy SS 454 LS6 hit the streets, it didn't just compete, it dominated. This was an era stacked with legendary metal, mind you. The Hemi Cuda, the Boss 429 Mustang, the Pontiac GTO Judge. All were powerful, iconic cars. But the LS6 was simply on another level. Its official power ratings made it the top dog on paper, but its real-world performance is what solidified its legend. Performance numbers from that golden age varied depending on the driver and the tuning, but contemporary road tests and modern-day analysis paint a clear picture of supremacy. A properly set-up LS6 Chevelle could run the quarter mile in the low to mid 13-second range right off the showroom floor. Think about that. A full-size street-legal car capable of hitting speeds near 110 miles per hour in a standing start in a mere 400 meters. That was unprecedented for a mass-produced car. The torque was another story entirely. That 500 pound-feet of twist made the car feel alive and ready to launch at any moment. It meant instant, brutal acceleration from virtually any speed. Drivers had to respect the throttle because with that much power going to the rear wheels through a limited slip differential, keeping the car straight was a skill in itself. The car was not about refined handling or corner carving. It was the absolute embodiment of the American muscle car philosophy. Maximum power in a mid-size package. The LS6 was a special order, a high-performance option that only a dedicated few went for. The exact number of LS6 Chevelles produced in 1970 is relatively low, around 4,475 units, making them rare and highly sought after today. This low production number only adds to the mystique of its short, powerful reign. It was proof that when the horsepower limits were lifted, Chevrolet was ready to deliver the final word in the muscle car arms race. You might think that building the most powerful production engine of all time was all fun and games for Chevrolet, but the immense power came at a steep price, both for consumers and the industry as a whole. The muscle car era was living on borrowed time, and the LS6, in a way, helped accelerate the inevitable crackdown. As horsepower figures soared year after year, the automobile insurance industry started to panic. They saw these incredibly fast cars, often driven by young, eager buyers, in the accident statistics. Well, they started to climb. Insurance companies weren't in the business of subsidizing street racing. The result, skyrocketing insurance premiums. By 1970 and 1971, getting an insurance policy for a high-horsepower car like the LS6 became nearly impossible for the average consumer, with some annual premiums costing more than a used car itself. This put a massive damper on sales and made the muscle car a luxury item that fewer people could afford to own and operate legally. Simultaneously, the U.S. government was starting to take serious action regarding both safety and the environment. New regulations were looming on the horizon. The Clean Air Act amendments of 1970 introduced strict emission standards that would be phased in over the next few years. These rules effectively sounded the death knell for high-compression, big displacement engines that relied on leaded, high-octane fuel to make their power. The LS6, with its thirsty carburetor and high compression, was the poster child for everything the new regulations were trying to stop. It was gloriously inefficient by modern standards. The combination of punitive insurance costs and looming government regulations meant that the LS6's time in the spotlight would be incredibly brief. It was surely a one-year-only phenomenon in the Chevelle, but definitely a brilliant one, when the burning star faded almost as quickly as it arrived, paving the way for the neutered, low-compression engines of the mid-70s, just like an ultimate mic drop just before the music stopped. The story of the 454 LS6 isn't just about its power, it's also about its ephemeral nature. The year 1970 represents the absolute zenith of the American muscle car movement. As we mentioned earlier, GM lifted its self-imposed engine size ban, leading to this fantastic arms race just as government and insurance pressures were mounting. It was this perfect, fleeting window of opportunity. By 1971, the writing was on the wall. Chevrolet detuned the LS6 significantly for the Corvette that year, dropping the compression ratio and making other changes. It was never offered in the Chevelle again after 1970 in its peak, 450 horsepower form. The rapid disappearance of the LS6 was a direct consequence of the regulatory and economic perfect storm brewing. The switch to unleaded gasoline, mandated by new environmental laws, meant compression ratios had to plummet across the industry. You can't run an 11.25 to 1 compression engine on low-octane unleaded fuel without severe engine knocking and damage. The performance engines that defined the era simply couldn't exist under the new rules. So the LS6 became a true one-hit wonder, a monument to what was possible when engineers were given free rein. Its limited availability makes original 1970 LS6 Chevelle some of the most sought-after and valuable collector cars today. They represent the last gasp of an era of no-compromise performance, a snapshot in time when horsepower was king and efficiency was an afterthought. The very fact that this incredible engine was here one year and gone the next is a crucial part of its legend, as it was a spectacular final fireworks display just as the party was ending. The early 1970s brought a series of seismic shifts, but the 1973 oil embargo became the final nail in the coffin. While insurance and regulations were already chipping away at performance, the oil crisis changed consumer priorities almost overnight. Before the embargo in 1970, high-octane leaded fuel was cheap and readily available, which is exactly what the LS6's 11.25 to 1 compression ratio needed to run properly. Fuel efficiency was an afterthought for performance buyers, with cars averaging abysmal single-digit or low-teen miles per gallon numbers. Then the crisis hit. Arab oil-producing nations imposed an embargo, and suddenly gas prices skyrocketed, jumping from around 40 cents a gallon to nearly 60 cents in a short span, a massive increase at the time. Gas stations had long lines and fuel rationing became a reality. This made a thirsty 454 cubic inch engine an impractical, uneconomical choice for the average American driver. The market shifted dramatically. Consumers, panicking over fuel availability and cost, started demanding smaller, more fuel-efficient cars, often turning to Japanese and European imports like Toyota and Honda. Domestic manufacturers had to adapt quickly. The government introduced the Corporate Average Fuel Economy (CAFE) standards in 1975, which mandated a certain average fuel efficiency across a manufacturer's entire fleet. This effectively forced car makers to prioritize economy over power. The writing was on the wall. The big block era was over. The LS6, in its original, potent form, simply didn't fit into this new, constrained world. Its power was sacrificed on the altar of efficiency and emissions control, making 1970 the last time we'd see such an unapologetic display of factory horsepower. The world went from roaring V8s to tame, detuned engines in just a few short years, an era enthusiasts now refer to with a sigh as the malaise era. The story doesn't end in 1970 with the LS6's brief, fiery run. In fact, its legend has only grown over the decades, transforming the car from a street-legal monster into one of the most desirable and valuable collector automobiles in the world. Why, you ask, does this specific model command so much attention and such high prices today? It comes down to a perfect storm of performance, rarity, and historical significance. First and foremost is the one-year-only factor. The 1970 Chevelle S454 LS6 was a unique, unrepeatable moment in time. Only around 4,475 units were produced that year with the LS6 engine option. Compare that to other muscle car legends, and you start to understand the scarcity. This low production number, coupled with the fact that many were raced, modified, or simply fell victim to rust over the years, means a numbers-matching original LS6 Chevelle is an incredibly rare find today. The performance also plays a huge role in its collector status. This car holds the title of having the highest factory horsepower rating of any muscle car from that era. The sheer raw power it delivered in a production vehicle was unmatched. Collectors prize this unfiltered, high-compression engineering marvel. When you have a car that was the undisputed king of the streets in its prime, it naturally becomes a holy grail car for enthusiasts. Today, the value of an original 1970 Chevelle S454 LS6 in excellent condition can easily exceed $150,000, with some pristine, documented examples selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. a highly documented convertible version once sold for over $1 million. The demand for these cars is a testament to the enduring legacy of the LS6 engine. It wasn't just a powerful motor, it was a symbol of a golden age of American automotive engineering, a final, brilliant chapter before the muscle car era came to a screeching halt. Its value today is a direct reflection of its unmatched place in automotive history. The 1970 LS6 Chevelle may have been a one-year-only masterpiece, a victim of its own success in changing times, but the legend of the 454 cubic inch big block engine itself is far from over. The spirit of this powerhouse lives on in the passion of classic car restores and, interestingly enough, in modern-day crate engines offered directly from Chevrolet Performance. You can actually buy a brand new 454 big block engine today. Chevrolet Performance offers several variations of what they call the 454HO high-output crate engine. These modern interpretations are built with updated technology like a stronger Gen 6 cast iron block and modern hydraulic roller camshafts, but they retain that classic 454 displacement and raw, torquey character. Now, these modern crate engines are designed to run on today's premium pump gas, meaning their compression ratios are lower than the original LS6's extreme 11.25 to 1, typically around 8.75 to 1 or 9.6 to 1, depending on the version. Despite this, thanks to better cylinder head design and more efficient componentry, they still produce impressive power. The ZZ454440, for instance, is rated at around 469 horsepower and a massive 519 pound-feet of torque, figures very comparable to the original and likely underrated 1970 LS6. This means the original 1970 LS6 holds its own even against modern crate engines built decades later, which is a testament to how far ahead of its time it truly was. Enthusiasts today use these crate engines or rebuild original blocks, often adding modern fuel injection and aftermarket heads to push the power levels even further, easily surpassing 500 or 600 horsepower. The 454 remains a popular choice for engine swaps in everything from classic trucks to hot rods, thanks to its immense torque potential and huge aftermarket support. The LS6 ended an era, yes, but it also carved an eternal place in automotive history, ensuring the roar of the big block would never truly die. In the end, the LS6 was more than just a powerful engine. It was a fleeting symbol of a golden age. The 1970 Chevelle SS 454 LS6 will forever be remembered as the final chapter in the muscle car wars. So, what is your favorite muscle car from this iconic era? Do you think any modern car captures the same raw feeling? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through automotive history, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Thanks for watching.